Okay, good evening. We're going to start a little bit early only because I have a couple of announcements to make. So I thought that we would, I'll start with those so we don't take up too much time. So first off, welcome. This is our, excuse me, our second part of our Hot Topics class. So I'm very excited to be with you guys today. So I wanted to also tell you that we will be adding a bonus call. I didn't want to tell you guys this too quickly, too in advance, but we are going to be adding a bonus call as part of this. So there will be one more call in addition to the ones that you've already paid for, but there will be a bonus call that will take place. It will be a 90-minute call, call class like this video. We are going to pick a special topic, and it'll be the same format. I will teach and then do readings. What I've decided to do is for this is to allow you guys to be the co-creators of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow you guys today to email me topics that you would like to hear about. Okay, so for example, today we are talking about, the chakra system. So, so if there's topics you want to hear about, if there's lessons, things you want to, and I may pick one thing, I may pick two things, I will announce it in our next call, when the bonus call is going to be, what we're going to cover, and also, the date and time and things like that, okay? Obviously, I'm aware that with so many people's schedules, might be some people that cannot make it, and that's okay. The calls will be recorded, okay? So same format today. We're going to talk about the chakras, and then we're going to go into some workshop lesson. We're going to go into some actual practicing with these, and then we will go into some readings towards the end of the evening. So looking forward to being with you guys the whole time. I wanted to let you know also, following this, provided that it's being cooperative, because it was being a little glitchy for me this morning when I was trying to post a picture of my niece. I am going to do a Facebook Live this evening, so I've decided to do that. So if you're interested, head over to my Facebook business page, Thomas John : Celebrity Medium, and you can join me. I'm going to do readings. I'm going to be talking about upcoming events. I'm going to pick people for readings. So if you feel like staying up late, I'm going to go over. There right when we end around 9:30. That's provided. I'm just letting you know that Facebook is being cooperative, because today it was being really weird when I was trying to post a picture of my niece, and then I saw something on CNN that I guess it was down or something. So anyways, and I did the best compromise I could with the lighting. I'm actually at my sister's house, so I am just spending some time with her and stuff. So yeah, I think Facebook just might have gone up about a half an hour ago. I noticed it was being a little bit more cooperative, so it might be better now. So you can even probably check it maybe around 9:30. It'll be back up and stuff. So that's it. Okay, good. So like I said, I will be over there this evening doing some, so looking forward to being with you. A couple of other announcements. I think that's pretty good for now. Oh, the homework. And I did, was a little tardy on that. Excuse me, I did send the homework though. You should have gotten an email from Tracy this evening for the homework, the intuition exercises. Again, that's just extra practice for you. I'm not going to read it or respond to it in any way. So that's just for you to just try extra things and stuff. And I'll do the same for the chakra course as well. Actually, I'm going to email myself to remind myself to do that, because I forgot to do it last time. So chakra course. Okay, so guys, the chakras are, probably one of my favorite topics to teach about. And I always say I'm going to eventually at some point, when I get myself a little bit more organized, I'm going to put together a big chakra course, because there's so much information in the chakras. I mean, we could spend a whole college semester on the chakras, and still not probably cover it. It is one of the most complex, intricate, interesting systems, I believe, of human development. So there's so much to cover, and I want you to be able to practice and play and things like that. So what I decided to do when I was thinking about this, what would be helpful for people, is to really focus a bit on, first off, what the chakras are, okay? How the chakras influence our daily life, okay? And how the chakras relate to our own psycho-spiritual development. I kind of thought that that would be the best way for us to learn and connect, because like I said, we could literally stay here for 45 days and talk about the chakras, and we still wouldn't have covered everything. So I thought that would be the way to do things. So I want to talk about it from a very basic route, because sometimes in the basics there's very, very interesting concepts that we tend to kind of overlook and things like that. Oh, look at this. I just found a little picture of myself when I was little. Okay, there with my Easter basket. My sister's got it hanging over here. Isn't that funny? Okay. Oh, and the light keeps blinking on and off over here. I don't know what is going on over here, but this light keeps blinking on and off. So spirit is here. So I don't know what's going on. So anyways, okay. So let's kind of get started. So just to kind of go over things. The chakras, and there are 7 major chakras, but there are many, many, many chakras, okay? But there's 7 major ones. And these are hubs that store energy, okay? They store our energetic force. That's how I think of them. And I want to let you know also, too, has anybody ever read the Wheels of Life? Has anybody ever read that book? Anybody ever read The Wheels of Life by Judith and Anadia Judith? Yeah, okay. Hazel has, yes. The Judith, yes. How many people have not read that book or don't have that book? A couple people in chat are saying no, no, no. If you, and the light goes off again. So if there's ever a book to get on the chakras, one of the greatest books is that book. It's a dense one. There's a lot of information in it. It almost reads like an encyclopedia, okay? But it's a great, great book. And it's by a woman, I believe it's a woman, Anadia Judith, okay? I actually am not familiar with her work beyond that book, but anyways, it is a woman, but and this book is wonderful. She's also got another book that I have actually purchased and have not read, but I've heard many things about it, and I've got the audio CD, and it's the Eastern Body, Western Mind book, the psychology and the chakra system. So if you ever want to do some real deep diving with chakras, more than we can do in 50 minutes, I would recommend those books. They are, and it's going to be a process. You got to kind of buy it and sort of really stay with it for about 6 months, because it's not like fun reading. It's really dense. But if you really sit and process that stuff, I've read that book cover to cover, Wheels of Life, twice. And I don't think I've even absorbed it all. But you will get some real serious, cool stuff from that. You'll really enhance your understanding of the chakras, okay? So our chakras are these energy hubs. Now, one of the things that I want to tell you is that, one of the things that I want to explain to you is that, and in the past, whatever, 20, 30 years, everybody's talking about chakras, 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 chakras. And what's interesting is when we think about the concept of energy, right? When we just say energy, because chakras are energy, energy is really that interface between mind and physical body, if you really, really start to think about it, right? So basically, you know, energy really, the energy that we have connects our mind with our body, okay? And these chakras that we have are organized centers that receive, store, assimilate, process, and transmit life force energy, okay? Um, all at the respective levels, okay? The respective level of each of the 7 chakras, okay? So these 7 chakras provide really an understanding of wholeness, an understanding of wellness. And really, if we want to start to talk about mind, body, spirit in a serious way, we need to think about the chakras. The chakras really end up defining and describing our soul in the best way possible, okay? So, you know, just like if you were to study, you know, in medical school, you wanted to study you know, the body, and you want to understand how the body works, you'd study all the different organs, you know? So this is a way to study our soul in an organized way. Want to just remind you guys too, as we're beginning here, questions related to our lesson, you can go ahead and put in chat. Reading questions, hold off until I give you the green light in a little bit. But anything that comes up, and I'll try to take questions, things that pop into your mind and things like that, throw those questions into chat. So that's really what happened. And the 7 chakras really are the way to kind of explore that and really kind of, and basically, you know, as we go through life, you know, we lodge things within these chakras, our beliefs, our emotions, our defenses, all these things like that. So really, we want to start to look at the chakras through the perspective of our inner mind and our inner world, because that's really, you know, how we heal, that's how we grow, that's how we expand, things like that. You know, really, if we were going to do this in a real serious fashion, we would probably spend at the minimum 1 day talking about each chakra, you know, and we would really kind of, you know, do a lot of exploration around that. But since we don't have that kind of time, I'm sort of condensing a lot of things. But like I said, the chakras are, you know, they're very, 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 there's a lot of, you know, information with them. And, you know, like I said, I really do encourage you to spend some time really, you know, thinking about what, you know, what the chakra system has to do with. So, okay, so we're going to go through, so first what we're going to do is I'd like to name the chakras for you, kind of go over a little bit of what, you know, what the word chakra means, you know, things like that. So the word chakra, as we know it, is Sanskrit, and it means it stands for the word wheel or disc. And so, as I said, I like to think of the chakra as little hubs of energy that exist where our mind meets our body, that interface. And they, as I said, store, they capacitate the energies that come into us from the outside, and they are the way that we process that. The particular definition that I really like is from the Judith work, and she calls them centers of organization for the reception, assimilation, and transmission of life force energy. And she also likes to use the elements of earth, water, fire, air, sound, light, and thought to map onto the chakras. But like I said, you know, that's basically what our chakras are. Now, what I want you to understand also is, combined with that, we must understand that we all have an energetic metabolism. And what I mean by energetic metabolism is that our metabolism for the way that we process energy, okay, energy input from emotions, from relationships, things like that, is different, okay? You and I and you and everybody in this class has a different relationship to the energetic world that we live in. So for example, you know, you and I could be experience the same things and have very different processing of that. Okay. So for example, you know, you may have a relationship that breaks down. Okay. And I may go through a very similar experience as a relationship that breaks down. And I may metabolize that energy force in a very different way. My sister and my other sister and I all went through maybe certain things in common growing up in the same house, right? I mean, there's certain things, you know, we experienced similar things with my mom, with my dad, things like that. But the way that we energetically metabolize that information could have been very, 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 very different, okay? And it doesn't mean that you and I, just because we explore the same thing, it's the same thing also, you know, just in life, you know, we have different metabolisms for food and things like that. So, you know, you can sit down and have a pizza, and, you know, like my stepfather, for example, we always joke because he can eat constantly. He never gains any weight. You know, my mom, on the other hand, you know, she's off her diet for a day and she gains 2 pounds, you know, so it's one of those things. So we all process energy, we all metabolize stuff different, and work with things in a little bit of a different way. And that has to do with our energetic metabolism that we have, okay? So, and our energetic metabolism is made up of a bunch of things, made up of our belief system, made up of our emotions, made up of different experiences that we've had in life, made up of, you know, just it's made up of so many different things. So that's one of the things that we want to think about, you know, when we're thinking about energy metabolism, is that our experiences are different. Now, as we have energy in our body, as energy runs through this, and I've explained this in many of my classes, but I think it's a good starting point for chakras. You are constantly sort of using energy in the way that you want to use energy throughout the day. And I know that sounds kind of dumb, but let's just unpack this a little bit more. So you've got a set amount of energy. And you then throughout the day make energetic investments into certain situations, relationships, decisions, food you participate in, activities, things like that. So these things are there's constantly a flow in and out and in and out and in and out related to energy. Okay, so it's kind of like in, out, in, out, in, out. So we make decisions based on that. We have experiences based on that. So for example, you wake up in the morning, you decide, I'm going to have a really healthy breakfast. You know, you have some healthy, you know, egg whites and some fruit and maybe a little carbohydrate. So that kind of is a positive energy exchange. Now you make a decision later in the day to go get blasted drunk and have, you know, 6 martinis. That's another energetic exchange. And you can imagine in these exchanges, some are more positive for our energy system and some are more negative. Now, you're allowed to do these different things. Maybe 6 martinis is a little bit pushing it. I'd have a problem with that. But maybe 2, right? So maybe 2. By the way, I have a tip for you. Never end a night on a martini. You never want to do that. It's not a good plan. You always want to end on a glass of wine. But let's say you have 2 martinis or 3 martinis, or let's just say, right? So you're allowed to have those energetic low things. You're allowed to have the boss that's irritable. You're allowed to have the kid that's needy. You're allowed to have the niece who is handicapped or disabled and has some issues, and you've got to help her. You're allowed to have the parent that has the Alzheimer's. You're allowed to have these relationships and these experiences in your life. You're allowed to walk into a mall and say, oh, you know, I don't want to be in here. There's, you know, bad energy. You're allowed to go shop. You know, you're allowed to have these different things. The problem is you cannot have day in, day out these negative energy equations, right? Everything it's kind of like, you know, what is that thing? Weight Watchers, where everything's got a point, right? And it's like they let you eat cake, but it's like 30 points. They let you eat pizza, but it's like 25 points. So you can do that, but you got to make up for that later in the day, right? And sometimes you got to make up for that like 2 days, right? Because it's just so much. So again, we have to, that's kind of how our energy works. Everything is a positive, you know, or a negative. And we want to keep our energy in a certain range. When you decide you're going to wake up in the morning on no sleep, have 6 cups of coffee, not have breakfast, go speeding to work, deal with your irritable boss, have your husband cheating on you, have your, you know, your son who's dealing drugs in the junior high, have the friend who's backstabbing you, have the affair that you're having. When you decide to have all these energy activities, which, I mean, can you imagine that life? But I mean, some people have that going on, right? You're compromising your energy. Nobody can possibly energetically maintain that, you know, yet we expect, but it's really, when you think about it, it's a math game. It's a numbers game. Energetically, I don't care how many green juices you have or yogas you go to or prayers you do, nobody can handle that many hits to your system. You just can't, okay? So what happens then? Well, you have a few choices there. One, the biggest thing is you have to do an inventory of your energy. You have to be your own energy investigator. And you have to be like, okay, holy, you know, crap here. I'm really taking on a lot. There's a lot of negative here. There's a lot of equations here I'm not winning in. Okay, you know, you can handle the stressful job if you got the home life okay. If you got the other stuff, you got some great friends, you know, people can handle it. It's when all these energy things align and there's just depletion that our energy dips. When our energy dips, like I said, either you got to recalibrate it through changing those activities, or B, what often happens is we pull from either our cellular DNA body, we pull from our body, we develop a cancer, we pull from our heart, we have a heart attack, we energetically pull, because our body, our physical body, I'm not talking about anything spiritual right now, our body stores energy. So, you know, if you decide to have a banana, some of that energy obviously biologically goes into your body. You know, your body stores that. So your energetic body can pull from that, okay? Which is okay sometimes, but if it happens all the time, that's when we get cancer. Now, I'm not saying that that's purely from that. I do believe that everything has a biological, spiritual, emotional level to things, but at a spiritual level, that's really what's going on there. So anytime you have a medical thing, every time you develop diabetes, you have cancer, you have a stroke, there is a spiritual, energetic imbalance that must have in a way contributed to that. So it happens all the time. The other thing you may do is subconsciously or consciously pull from your chakras, okay? Now, when that happens, okay, then that chakra is out of balance. And I have sat, you know, I've sat, you know, somebody's sat on my couch before, and I've done a reading for them, and I see, oh my God, their chakras are totally fucked up, and they need to work on that. So your body may just say, oh, okay, well, that chakra's balance. Let me pull from the heart chakra. Let me pull from the crown chakra. Let me just pull from somewhere to restore that balance. Your body, your energetic body is always craving a little bit of balance. It always wants to be within that range. The other thing that happens is you may pull from people. You may pull from your husband, your children, your friends, you know. Have you ever had an interaction with somebody where you're just like, oh my God, I want this person to shut up. You know, those energetic, we call them psychic vampire moments. Now, people who are like that all the time, always pulling from others, that's a psychic vampire. But we all have moments, and that's, you know, that's fine. That's kind of a different thing. But we all have moments like that where we pull on others. Now, again, that is okay to do that, but chronically all the time, well, that's going to like totally script your life. Nobody wants to be around somebody like that, because I'm going to unconsciously or consciously pick up on the fact that, wow, you're really draining. Every time I hang out with you, I like lose a lot of energy. I really don't want to be around you. So that's a part of that too. So that's kind of how the energetic body calibrates. Okay. Now, people ask about closed chakras, stuck chakras, blocked chakras, slow chakras, all these things. Chakras exist in the inner world, but they can be affected by things that we deal with, okay? So, and a lot of times what I see is psychological dysfunction denying the energy force that we have to move freely through the body. When that happens, the chakra could be called block. Okay, so chakras can be stuck actually in two positions. Most people don't realize this. Chakras can be stuck in the open position or the closed position. When a chakra is always open, okay, they can be excessive, overblown, spent, deteriorated, because the chakra is always open, okay? If the chakra is closed, okay, then it becomes restricted. A restricted chakra results really from, you know, avoiding something, deflecting something, getting rid of something. And an excessive chakra results from trying to make up for something. This freaking light, I don't know what's going on here. Some dead person's here. I texted my sister today because this is her office, but she says that never happens. So anyways, I don't know who keeps doing that. For example, just to kind of talk about this, let's say when you were a child, you were deprived of physical touch. Nobody hugged, nobody kissed, nobody, you know, you might respond in one of two ways, right? For example, I have two clients, okay? Well, I can actually tell you one, I have two situations with that. One is me. So for example, if you didn't get enough touch or affection or in your childhood, let's say, you know, which I didn't, for example, right? You might respond one of two ways. You might totally shut down energetically to that, okay? You might become cold. You might become distant. You might not like to be touched. That's kind of how I am a little bit more. Now, I've definitely worked on that because obviously with what I do, everybody always wants to hug me and touch me and things like that. But, you know, that's been a thing for me because when I grew up from 0 to 18, nobody hugged, nobody kissed, nobody was demonstrative with affection. So that could be one thing. Now, I have a client, right, for example, who had a very similar thing growing up. Nobody hugged, nobody, it was a very sort of, not abusive, but very cold family. Just very, very cold. Just very New England, cold. So she's gone in the other direction. She's constantly craving affection, touch, hugging, kissing, standing in people's spaces, touching people on the first date, things like that. Well, both of those situations are a little weird to experience, right? So for example, with me, people often construe that like they think I'm a bitch, or they think that I'm being arrogant, or they think that, you know, what is his problem? He's mean. I mean, I've even had people who have come for readings and then said, oh my God, you know, he was such a bitch. I'm not a bitch. I'm not, but I don't like to be touched sometimes. And I've realized that as I'm in this profession going on a decade now, I've got to work on that because, I mean, that's kind of goes with the the flow here, right? So it's something I've really tried to work on, but it was definitely a restriction in my chakras. My client on the other example, who's got the constant touchy-feely, kissy, sexual exploit stuff, she responded the other way. She went the total other direction, where so both are lack of balances and both result from a blocked or overactive, over-open chakra. Okay, that chakra stays open because it's constantly wanting to be repaired and filled. So do you see what I'm talking about? How there really is a balance. The key word here that we want to talk about is balance. Questions for people? Let's take a, we're going to go, yes, yes. Actually, let me name the chakras first, and then well, hold on one second. Actually, let me actually take a couple questions. So how to bring balance, we're going to go to that in a little bit. People want to know about the 7 chakras. We're going to go over that. I had an Irish mother. Speaking of energy, okay, so no real, why don't you ask who is, okay. Oh, there is actually 114, but, right, there's actually 114, but yeah. Yes, I do believe that there is more than that. There's definitely more than one. Can anxiety be caused from open or blocked chakras? Yes, anxiety, fear. We're going to talk about this a little bit, but most anxiety, fear stuff usually comes from the root chakra, but not always. But whenever I'm dealing with an anxiety issue with a client, I always go right to the root chakra because it normally is based out of there. Okay, so we're going to go into the 7 chakras, which will answer a couple of questions for people. So root chakra, root. Now, what I'm going to do is, hold on one second. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second, guys, sorry. Because what I want to do is I want to put up a little chakra sheet for you. Okay, so let me see here. Let's see if we can do a share screen. Is that okay for you guys? Can you see that? And there's not a lot of distracting stuff, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
What do you guys
Crown,
see?
third eye, throat.
It's good?
Yeah, I can
Looks
see it.
perfect.
Is it still up there?
Yes.
I can see it.
Or did it move?
Yes.
Yes, it's there.
Okay, so you're just seeing the colored thing, right?
No,
With a
I'm
little bit
seeing
of text
the window.
underneath it.
And you see some of the writing, which you don't really need, right? Is it in focus?
Yes.
We've got your whole
Okay.
screen.
And it still is there, even though I clicked over to my other screen?
Yes.
I can see it.
Okay, good. You're not seeing my naked pictures? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
Left-hand corner.
So, all right. So that can just be a guide for you guys. I'm just terrified every time I ever share something. I'm always like, my naked pictures are going to come up. All right. So anyways,
How popular would it be?
okay. So Sorry, I just want to make sure. So you can see the colored screen. I just clicked over to my other notes. Do you have the colored screen up? Can somebody just say
Yes.
yes?
Yes.
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 Right.
You're going to go over all that, right?
Or did it move over?
No, you're good.
We're still seeing the body with the chakras.
Okay, you can
Can
see
you-
the color. That's
Yep.
what you should see. Okay, good.
Yes.
So we're going to go through through these. So root chakra, we're starting from the bottom up, just so you're clear, bottom up. So that's the first one, the root chakra. You can see in the thing that they're labeled, so that's good. So the root chakra is associated with security. The root chakra is family, feeling grounded. I mean, if you just think about the root chakra, it's sort of like, well, what do you think it has to do with? It has to do with those primal instincts, our earthly thoughts, our actions, right? Now, the root chakra, there's a big, now, obviously, I believe we're all born with the 7 chakras intact. Throughout our life, they develop further, but we always do have the 7 chakras, okay? So that first year of life, the security, the family, the feeling grounded, all of those things. And as they map on into later life, develop in with the first with the first year of life. Okay, so this is all of our first, and this is really us getting familiar with our world, what we can trust, things like that. When we become about 2 years old, that's where we start to be in the root chakra. We're still in the root chakra cycle, but we start to develop now feelings, emotions, okay? So year 2 of our life is really where our sacral chakra starts to take over. So while we're still dealing with root chakra security issues, we're also dealing with sexuality, creativity, emotions. Now, I realize a 2-year-old, is not, really thinking about sexuality, but there is, we have toilet training, we have starting to, be connected to that part of our body. So, and this is also where we start to make attachments to loved ones, but it's really through that root and sacral chakra. Now at age 3, we do still stay in the root chakra cycle, but we also move out of the solar plexus, out of the sacral and into the solar plexus, okay? So we go from the root chakra cycle, we now tie in the solar plexus chakra. That has to do with the I am presence, our sense of self, our understanding that we are here, but there's other people here too, that sense of self-other, okay? We start to develop relationships with self-objects, right? And we really start to explore how we work in relation to other people in the world. We understand who we are in relation to the world, and we become observers. So that's that. Now we go into our year 4. So each of these years, these chakras are going through some big transformation. At age 4, we're still developing that root chakra, but we're also entering into our heart chakra. And this is our heart chakra, really represents love and connection in regards to both of ourselves and others. And we really start to, form, we start to learn about our connection to loving others and expressing love towards family. At age 5, we go through a root throat. Okay, so again, still in the root cycle. Notice that the root cycle really continues to develop that first, everything is in relationship to that root chakra. At age 5, we're in the root cycle, but we also enter into the throat cycle. And the throat is all about communication, self-expression, developing a healthy balance of listening and speaking and understanding other ideas. And children at age 5 typically start school. They start to talk about their words. Again, a lot of this is also approximate, but it is interesting to think about. 6 years old, root and third eye. which is about our intuition, our pineal gland, learning to think critically. At age 6, we begin to think for ourselves a little bit more, better communicating knowledge, thoughts about others, having instincts about things. I don't know if you've ever tried to get something past a 6-year-old. It's nearly impossible, right? 7-year-old, we start to move into root and crown. And that's where we enter into the final stage of the root chakra. And as well as we have the development of the 7th chakra. The crown chakra is the one that connects us to our spirituality and the rest of the world. And it's at this age that children usually begin to develop at around 7, a greater curiosity for the world around them, an understanding of God, particularly the unknown, wanting to know about the mysteries of the universe. So this 7-year cycle has a general theme to it. But 1 through 7 is a lot about the root chakra. But then each corresponding year also has a chakra that grows with it, okay? So that's kind of our initial childhood. Then we go into these larger stages of chakra development. So we have 8 to 14, 15 to 21, 22 to 28, 29 to 35, and 36 to 42, and 43 to 49. And that's when these chakras even more develop. Now, you've already got all the chakras by 7, but that's when these really start to develop a little bit more, okay? So 8 to 14, in this cycle, we enter into a full-blown sacral chakra developmental cycle. 8 to 14 is all about sexual energy, creativity, learning to feel our emotions, expressing them freely. Again, this goes with the sacral chakra. So during this part of our life, we begin to really start to experience sex, identify our sexuality, develop our first crushes. Younger females obviously, have to get their periods. We go through puberty. Males start, all this stuff starts to happen in this time frame. So 8 to 14 is the sacral chakra. It's about us really developing that. Now, I want you to think about this because this is going to be the question. How these chakras formulate have to do with also what we experience there, okay? So if you have some sort of horrible experience that happens between 8 and 14, then you are going to have a sacral chakra issue, okay? So for example, and I'm just saying this sort of, in my mediumship work, when I'm connecting with spirit as a medium, anybody that I think, I've never done like a survey, but almost everybody that sits on my couch for a mediumship reading that had a loss between 8 and 14, or in that age, they lost a parent normally, right? Or even a sibling, they develop some sort of sexuality issue. Could be any number of things, but usually some sort of perversion, or some sort of fetish, or some sort of strange, ambivalence about sex, or hatred about sex, or things like that. So for example, I have a client that I've seen for the last 10 years, who, when he was 10 years old, he came home from school. He had a perfectly normal family. Literally, the 2 kids, the white dog, the picket fence. His father was a lawyer. His mother was a teacher. They both came from a family of 2. Traditional, everybody, everything buttoned up. He came home, and his parents had both committed suicide. He walked into the house and they both had hung themselves. He never really got closure in terms of why that happened. Of course, we've had many mediumship messages that have come through. But he's never we've gotten clarity, but in terms of factually, it wasn't like nobody could really ever figure out, well, what happened. Why did these people commit suicide? They just woke up one day and decided to do this. And what's even worse is that they later found evidence that it was definitely planned. It was not like they just decided to do this one morning when they were having eggs. They had planned this for a long time, to the point where they had sent flowers that they were going to be delivered 2 weeks later to the house, with a note. I mean, sort of like sort of a very bizarre experience to go through when you're like 10 years old. So anyways, now because of this, I believe, because this happened during the sacral chakra. So you can imagine you're an energy system, right? All this stuff comes flooding in. So, he never really dealt with it. He didn't, I don't think, maybe he went to therapy for a month or something, but no sort of, everybody was sort of like, okay, that's sad. You've got to live with your aunt now. There was no sort of, So, fast forward to 40 years later, right? And now this guy is almost 50 years old, and we start doing readings and stuff. And there's all sorts of stuff coming up with this guy. He's, into S&M. He's into, he's having affairs left and right. He's sleeping with, men, women, promiscuous, not promiscuous, all sorts of out of control behavior. Not in terms of sexual preferences, because that's whatever, nobody cares about that, but just out of control behavior for somebody who's 50 years old and has 3 kids, reckless, So what's interesting is even though it wasn't like, he was, let's say, molested, or he wasn't, it wasn't like he, was exposed to sex at that young age or something, but that trauma, okay, just totally, just because that is the sacral chakra period, there is just an explosion of destruction that happens to that chakra, which is where all of our sexual energy is, dealt with. So unless this gentleman, which we've definitely worked on, and it's gotten a lot better, I actually basically helped him save his marriage. But we had to just do full transparency. We had to just do, I literally remember about 6 years ago, I had to sit with his wife. We had to have a 2-hour session. And I had to explain some of this stuff to her and tell her that, with his help and stuff, but explain to her, this is what's going on. And honestly, as much as we're all in control of our own actions, right? That he's very wounded. And it's not because he really actually desires other people. It's because his chakra and his energy system is so literally fucked up from this experience. So that's just to give you an example of a drastic sort of, this is where the chakras come into play. It's a very real thing. So we're going to actually do an exercise to help you with this in a second. 15 to 21 is our solar plexus chakra. This is a cycle that's governed by our sense of self and understanding who we are as souls and who we are as people. So when you think about 15 to 21, this is where, a lot of people have teenage angst and they become selfish and they become, me. But the solar plexus is that me. It's where we start to look objectively at who we are in relation to others, how our personality affects our relationship. We often develop, our dreams, our hopes, what we're going to do in college, who we're going to be. So that's where our solar plexus is. So solar plexus is a real big thing with identity. The heart chakra cycle starts in their early 20s and goes through our late 20s. Many people in this cycle often meet their life partners. especially as society really kind of puts a pressure on that. But we look inwards, we develop a greater love for others, we start to apply that outwards towards our relationships, right? And an overall appreciation for life. And I have seen this tremendously, you know, in the heart chakra stage, where it's in that mid-20s section. It's another place where a lot of people will lose a parent. And I've had many clients, and it almost always throws off, not all, I mean, I would say 75% of the time, but there's a big thing where there's a carryover into romantic relationships, and people end up, you know, not getting married or marrying the wrong person or things like that. The tip of our 30s, 29 to 35, this is a cycle that relates to throat chakra. This is our communication, expressing ourselves. It's in this stage where we really start to find our voice. We start to become comfortable with who we are. We start to express ourselves. A lot of people, as much as we have our identity in those previous cycles, are really, people start to really show up and communicate more. And we start to really, you know, start to develop that. The third eye chakra develops between mid-30s and mid-40s. And this is really where we enter a stage of intuition, wisdom, synthesizing information, things like that. A lot of us have epiphanies. A lot of us have, you know, wake-up calls around then. I'm sure many of you, if you've hit this age yet, 36 to 42, I bet you had a big ding-dong in that period. Many people really start to formulate their belief systems, their knowingness, things like that. Crown chakra is that final stage of development, 43 to 49, and that final cycle is related to the crown chakra. The chakra relates to spiritual awakenings, collective consciousness, spiritual connection, our awareness of God. Now, this is approximate stuff that is, hold on one second, sorry. So this is approximate stuff. And as I said, everybody has a different energetic metabolism. So some people go through all of these stages before they're 35. Some people go through a big bulk and then kind of regroup around them. So this is a map, this is a roadmap. It doesn't mean that, oh, you know, before 43 to 49, you're not gonna have anything. The big thing though is that you will go progressive through these stages. Okay, so you will go through so you won't go through your crown cycle before you go through your heart cycle. Okay, now some of you may be saying, well, you know, I never have had a relationship. So what happened to my heart? Doesn't mean you're gonna, you know, doesn't mean in that stage that you have to meet your partner, but it just, there tends to be a focus on that area, and this chakra is really bubbling with development. Remember, you have all 7 chakras very early in your life. So, you know, so those chakras are always there working with you, okay? So this is what we're going to do now, okay? We're going to do a little bit of work on how to heal and balance our chakras. And by the way, I should have let you guys know also, I'm actually going to stop the share. You get the idea on the picture. So I want to just kind of we're going to do a little bit of how to balance our chakras, then we're going to do an exercise. This is the only class, because it's so dense with material, that we almost always go past the 9 o'clock hour and we go a little bit into our reading time. So that's fine. I mean, we're here to ultimately learn. So I do have the heart out at 9:30. And I'm going to try not to, but I may eat up 10 minutes and we may do 20 minutes of reading tonight instead of 30. So that's fine. We just may do that because I want to at least do one more teaching thing, and I want to do at least one exercise. So let's see if we can get through those. We may be able to get through it in about 10 minutes. So maybe maybe about 10, 15. So I think maybe we can not take too much reading time. I know people get anxious about wanting a reading, but let's just do these exercises. So how to balance the chakras. Again, could stay here and talk to you guys for forever about the chakras and how to balance them. So how do we balance the chakra? By the way, did that sheet go away? It's just me now, right? You just see me now. Is that right?
Yes.
Good. So we're gonna go into my notes on how to balance the chakras. So again, so many things you can balance chakras with. I mean, you can do it so many different ways. So how do we balance chakras? So first off, our chakras are very responsive to a lot of things. So for example, notice in the chakra sheet when I showed you the thing, they all had an individual color to them. Did everybody notice that?
Yes.
They follow the colors of the rainbow. So if everybody knows the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. Everybody ever heard that? I learned that in high school. I mean, not high school. I think kindergarten. Well, maybe in high school. I went to public school. But Roy G. Biv. So that's, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That's where each chakra. So your root is red. Your green is your heart. It just goes in order. So most people would know that. The third eye is the indigo. So anyways, those are the colors that they go to. So one thing is just very basically, chakras can be balanced hundreds of ways through certain foods, okay, through certain crystals, through certain musical tones, through certain notes. There's actually a musical note that corresponds to each chakra. You can balance it through like tuning forks or bowls. Here is what I have learned that's kind of my sort of soapbox about balancing your chakras. And I go back to the energetic metabolism, okay? Many of us probably go to the gym. I just started back a month ago after having taken almost like a year and a half off. And I just started working with a trainer again. You and I may go to the gym for an hour. We may do very different things, okay? Everybody processes their bodies differently, right? So, you may be somebody that goes and does tons of cardio. I may be like to lift weights. Ultimately, the way you balance a chakra, it depends. For example, I'm not a very crystal sensitive person. I have crystals. I love crystals. I love to get a little vibrational upgrade from them. I think they're beautiful. I like to have them. I travel a lot, so I tend not to bring them to readings because I don't really need them. But, I like to have them and they're fun and I carry them with me and things like that. But my energy does not resonate a lot to crystals. My energy doesn't respond to crystals. Some people are very crystal sensitive. You may be, some people are very food sensitive, okay? So you need to think about how your energy is processed to understand, okay, what that is, okay, how you're going to process your chakras and stuff. So for example, but in order to do that, we have to first know, and it can be as simple as, for example, I've had people balance their chakras just by wearing more of one color. So people that are in root chakra, their root chakra's all screwed up. I tell people, hey, go wear a lot of red for the next couple of weeks. Start to include that color more in you. Now, how are you going to know if you respond to this or I respond to this or this? You just have to try, really. You have to experiment. You just have to, because you're not going to really know until you play with it and try. So that's just basically how that is. You just have to really kind of experiment. And over time, you'll learn. So for example, I used to go and get like tons of crystals. I started to realize they don't really do anything for me. So I've kind of, if one of my chakras is out of balance, I'm actually better with my thoughts. So I'll do a little chakra meditation, things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to, yes, essential oils. Every chakra has an essential oil that you can work with. So, and there's a lot of good resources actually in the Judith book, you know, and there's a lot of good charts with that. So you can actually look at different treatments that work. So for example, let's just go through a couple of these. So if you wanted to work with crown, okay, crown chakra. And a lot of times let's say crown chakra. So if you wanted to work with aromatherapy, you would use rosewood. Color therapy, purple and white. You know, crystal therapy, amethyst, clear quartz. Yoga position, you would do headstand, rabbit. Give me another one. What's another one somebody wants to deal with? Give me another one. Throat chakra, throat chakra. Throat chakra, so aromatherapy is peppermint, eucalyptus. Throat crystals, what do you think? Well, the throat, a lot of this corresponds to the color for the crystals. So that's an easy one. So if you want to look for, if you're having sacral chakra issues, you want orange crystals. Now there's other ones too, like for example, sacral chakra, you can also use coral. Okay, but you just got to familiarize yourself with it. Most of the times you go to a mind, body, spirit store, they're going to know this. They should be able to refer you to a crystal. There's tons of online resources. So you just got to open your eyes and you got to open your throat chakra and you got to ask and you got to communicate and you got to talk and you got to support one another and you got to just kind of, instead of being, I don't know what to do, you know, just look, explore, try something. If it doesn't work, it's not like you're gonna buy an amethyst and your head's gonna fall off or something. So it's either gonna work or it's not gonna work. So try it, see if it feels better. Usually, if you get the right thing, it's not the crystal. Like, so for example, with root chakra, you know, we can use ruby, you can use garnet. So if that doesn't work, if you have a good crystal, it must be that your body doesn't really respond to crystals. So you might want to go to yoga. You might want to, you know, and you might want to do, so then you got to find the yoga moves. So for root chakra, I don't even know. I think it's like, you know, you can use the bridge pose. There's other ones too, but I forget what they are. Color therapy, obviously red for the root chakra. So go and, you know, paint your house red. No, I'm just kidding. But you can be around red more, wearing red, seeing red. I've even had clients go home and draw color in red, make a drawing in red, get that color more in your life. It's going to slowly down. Remember, the chakras are through this energy force, our life force. So everything that you're dealing with and absorbing is going to respond to those chakras. It's going to balance that chakra. Okay? So we're going to do a little exercise now. Oh, examples of food that clear. We can do that. We can do that. You know what I'll do actually? If you want to do that, I think I have a little cute diagram about that somewhere. Let me see if I can find that, and I'll put it up at the end of the class, the food chakra diagram, okay? But again, there's a wealth of information. We got to move on. We got to do an exercise. So we're going to do an exercise, and then we're going to do readings. So let's everybody take a deep breath and relax. So what you're going to do is you're going to think of your 7 chakras, okay? You're going to think of your 7 chakras. You're going to think of your all your 7 chakras that you have, okay? And what you're going to do is you are going to work in reverse order. I want you to think of the biggest issue that you have in your life. I want you to think about, and first off, we have to be honest and transparent here, otherwise it's not going to work. So this is a safe space. We're not going to sit here and nobody's judging anybody. What is an issue that you have in life that is a continual block for you? Okay? So, what I want you to do is I want you to think about that. So what is an issue? Your need to control people with money, your self-sabotage, your, and I want you to go deep with it. I don't want you to be like, oh, I've got money problems. Oh, I don't have a boyfriend. That's not what I'm talking about. Where are you the most fucked up? That's what I want to know. So what do you have? Where do you have behavior or patterns that have left you very stuck? What would that be? Your need for validation, your insecurities about what are those things that you have? So what I want you to do is I want you to think about it. And I want you to come up with, and you can even do 2 if you want to, but I want you to come up with specific examples of how this happens. So I don't want you to say, oh, I tend to self-sabotage. I want it to be self-sabotage. Number 1, I was in a great relationship 10 years ago and I cheated on the person even though I was in love with them. Number 2, so I want specific examples of this behavior. So start to write that down and journal about that. So I don't want this to be like, oh, I don't have enough money. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a core behavior of yours. So if it is money, well, why don't you have money? So let's think about that. What's a little bit deeper than that? So let's do that. I want you just to, so a negative behavior, pattern, belief system, action, and then 3 examples of it. And if anybody's brave enough and really wants to clear this, I would love for somebody to put it in the chat so we can kind of share a little bit. Okay, so that's great. So somebody put an addiction to sugar, so a food addiction, addictive to sugar. No trust of self, codependence, somebody has fear of success, fear of happiness. So now, Pat, fear of success, fear of happiness, I want you to list specific examples of that. Julia has very hard on self. Specific examples of that. Negative self-talk. What do you say to yourself? Make this really specific. Lack of self-confidence. That's great, Sharon. That's a great one. Where does that show up? What is an example of that? Give me an example of that. Almost as if I don't understand that sentence and I'm like, what do you mean lack of self-confidence? What does that even mean? So Alicia has quick to anger when talking with husband. Make it a little bigger than that, Alicia. So do you have an anger issue with other people? I can't imagine that it's only with your husband. Let's just see here. Poor self-image. Okay, Eric has resentment. So resentment, 1, 2, 3, I want examples. Okay, so now you are going to, now that you've got your specific behavior, I want you to connect it with a chakra. So what chakra does this connect with for you? Think back on those chakras. So anything with security, for example, or financial or safety, that's root chakra. That's root chakra. Okay. What chakra comes up around this? Now what you're going to do, and I'm going to put you in partners because we went through this information so fast that some people may be, I don't remember this right. I'm going to put you in partners for support. I'm going to put you in partners for 5 minutes. When I put you in partners, you're going to kind of do a little bit of sharing, discussion of your issue, the chakra it goes with, and then I want you to think about those age ranges and what traumas happen to you around those age raven that might have absorbed into your chakra that's created this block or this excessive openness. So I'm going to put you into a group right now. I'm going to put 4 people in a room, so there might be some with 3 or 2. We're going to put 4 though. I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to share. Okay. So how was that for everybody? Did you guys
Well-
get something out of that a little bit?
It was good.
It was too short. Had a good time. Thanks.
Okay, we've got to keep it on chat because we can't have 20 people talking at once. Okay, good. So, all right, we're going to get started. So again, a lot of stuff. I'm going to send a chakra homework exercise, which I actually think, since this is such a big topic, what we will do is we will talk about it at the top of our next course together, and then we'll move into the first. I know we're going to talk about our intuition exercises too, but I sent that too late. So what we'll do is when we come back the next time, we'll deal with the intuition exercises and the chakra exercise. We'll do that for like 10 minutes at the top. So, okay, we're going to get started. We got 15 minutes left to have some fun. So I'm going to take reading questions and chat questions. So totally clear the board, forget about chakras, and you can put your questions in chat, or you can raise your hand. How do you raise your hand in this? Julia, can you type in there? I know you've been on some of my stuff before. How do you raise your hand? Can you put that in chat for everybody? It says raise hand under the list of people, okay? So we will get going here. So let's go to Teresa Sampson. So Teresa, you're in chat. I don't know if you want to do it by voice, if you want to unmute yourself, or if you just rather, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. I can hear you. So what can I do for you, Teresa?
I would like to know, well, I've been told I'm a jack of all trades. I can do a lot of things, but I'm trying to find what the best thing I could do to be a master of. What would that be?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, could you hear me before?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, they couldn't hear me. So, okay. So you want to know kind of about sort of what is your sort of maybe like almost like your life purpose a little bit?
I guess, yes.
Okay. Just kind of tune in a little bit and see what I'm getting. Are you in the West Coast or where are you?
I'm in Texas.
Oh, you're in Texas. You know, what's interesting is I'm getting kind of like a bunch of things for you that I kind of wanted to go through. So one thing is I do feel like you have a lot of intuition. And I do feel like you have a lot of healing gifts. And I'm just getting that may be actually an avenue that you may want to work on or develop a little bit. I kind of just felt that. And I also want to ask you too, I see a lot of creative energy around you. Would you consider yourself a creative person?
Yes, and I was wondering if spirit art is something that I'm being drawn towards, and would that be something that I should?
Yes, I feel like definitely there is a lot of energy around that. And so you've had something that just kind of has kind of recently popped up for you a little bit, or it's
I just took a class on that, but I've never really, tried to pursue it. And so I have worked with mediumship some, and I don't speak. I'm kind of a shy person, and I feel that if I could work with this in a creative aspect without having to, be the outgoing personality, that it would be better for me.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely something there for you with that. I mean, I feel like you are supposed to kind of go more, I feel more in that direction. And I feel like there may be other things for you too, but I feel like you are supposed to go more in that direction. I want to ask you this too. I'm just getting a message about this, and we can kind of go back to this too. But I don't know why I'm feeling this, but is there something around you with like packing boxes, or are you doing anything right now where I keep seeing images of boxes around you. So are you doing anything right now that you would be like moving or anything like that?
Well, we went through Hurricane Harvey and we had to redo our house, and I still have some unpacking to do of things that I was able to salvage. And I also am trying to go through my videos, like old VCRs, and I've got a lot of stuff in the room with me that I'm trying to, put it in a different format. That type of thing.
Do you know Sarah?
Do I know Sarah?
Or somebody that I'm hearing about the name Sarah?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. And I want to just tell you though that sorry, there's some sort of noise. But the mediumship thing, so that's something that you said you have been doing that, or you've been wanting to do that?
Yes, I have been doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I ask you, do you know Michael?
I have a son named Michael.
Okay. And I don't know why I'm getting this, but is he starting a new business or something?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I have a different son that is, but it's not Michael.
Okay. And do you know Joe?
Joe is my husband.
Okay. But so I'm sorry, did you say your husband, Michael, or your son is starting?
Well, my son Travis is starting a business.
Okay. 1 second, Teresa. I'm actually going to mute you because somebody has unmuted themselves and they're like making noises. Now okay, now you're back. So go ahead, honey. What were you saying?
Okay, I said I have a son Travis who is starting a business.
Okay, so he's starting a business. So maybe I'm just kind of getting them confused or something. But I feel like they are showing me that that's going to be happening. But yeah, I want to say I just, the feeling I'm getting, is that the mediumship direction is where you're supposed to go. There's a lady that's standing in your auric field too, that is holding roses. And I don't know if she's trying to get me to say rose or she liked roses. I believe it's your mother-in-law.
Her name was Rose, yes.
Okay. So, and were you close to her?
Yes.
Because she gives me the feeling that she kind of looked at you kind of like a daughter. So I don't know if you had that type of relationship, but I am feeling that. And I also see a man standing right around you too, that I feel he was kind of a strict man, but it's like, I definitely get the feeling that you knew that he loved you. He's got kind of a strict military mindset. Would you understand that? And I'm hearing the name Earl.
That's my dad, yes.
Was
thank you.
Was he strict?
He was more into his business than he was into his family, but he loved it. It was just more.
That's what I feel like I'm getting. It's like you would have known he loved you. Definitely that he did love you. But he's just given me the feeling of a little bit of like a coldness or a distance. But it's like I kept feeling like, well, you definitely would have known though that he did love you.
Yes.
And, that's the way he comes through to me and stuff. And I feel that he's around you, guiding you too. And you might notice too that these people are probably popping in because you're trying to work on the mediumship stuff. So they must just be showing you like, hey, I'm around, I'm checking in on you. So that's really nice that you got that message too. Okay, good, Teresa. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, well, that was nice. I just kind of went to her for some reason. Now, let's kind of go here another bit here. I would like to go to, if I can, Christine Knorr or something, Christine.
Yes.
Hi, Christine. Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, what can I do for you, dear?
Well, I lost my father about a year and some months ago, and it was a horrible situation, which I was present for.
Mm.
And then I'd lost my mother a year before that, also present for in another horrible situation. So, and I miss my dad terribly. So I just wanted to know if there was anything you could get from him or anything he could help me.
Mhm.
My life has been in great change.
What is his first name?
Curtis.
Okay. I want to ask you something before we go to that, because I do feel like I got a little connection with him. But I just have to tell you this. For some reason, when I pulled you up, they told me that there was another thing that you wanted to ask about too. So I got your dad, but was there like another thing on your mind that you felt like you wanted to ask about? Or is there like another thing you're going through besides just connecting with your dad? But is there like a second thing you wanted to ask about?
I mean, I don't know. I really want to connect with my dad or my mom. You know, it's that my life right now is, like I said, an upheaval in my relation. I guess maybe a relationship that I was in is bottomed out, and it's kind of like
It
a
could be
pattern.
It could be like that. I'm getting that. Now, just say yes or no. Don't tell me anything extra. Do you have a brother?
Yes.
Okay. Is he nuts?
Well, I have two brothers. One of them is got some issues.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Dad would have been aware of that, or he went through that with you, or did he know about that at all?
My dad was aware of some of his issues, but not the ones that came out after his death.
Oh, okay. Now, who connects also, because I'm seeing this real clearly in my mind, but who connects with Thanksgiving?
My mother.
Okay, because I'm
big
seeing
time.
Thanksgiving. I want to just tell you, let me build the connection a little bit and let's see who's coming through, because I actually have 3 people coming through. I have a man and a woman, and I've got another woman, so I don't know who these people are yet. And also, do you know George and do you know Alice? Alice could be a middle name. Do you know Alice as a middle name, dear?
No.
I'm hearing Alice. But I
Oh,
feel
no. My mother was Mary Alice.
yeah. I was gonna say I could be getting a middle name.
Mary Alice, yeah. Oh my goodness.
So, and she would have passed prior to your father?
Yeah, she passed prior.
Was there issues with somebody's will or money that's passed down or something?
My father, we're just having a really hard time like finding stuff because everything was on the computer, no passwords. I've got a lawyer who's doing the will thing, but I'm going to be, there's money missing that we can recover. Oh, and there was the hospital. I wanted to bring a wrongful death suit against the hospital. And I did want to know it. I know that's not a question a lot of people want to answer, but it's something I've tried to pursue. And I've got a little bit of time left, and I didn't know if I should continue.
Well, and who's Dorothy?
Oh, she's my aunt. That's my dad's sister.
There's like almost like a whole line of people here. So
that's his mom, actually. Dorothy is his mom.
oh, his mom. Okay, so I don't know
Because
who.
Dorothy, his sister, is living.
Right. Okay. And do you also know too, just as I'm connecting here, is there a reason that your father showed me the state of Maine?
I was born there.
Okay. I saw like Maine and lighthouses and stuff. Hold on.
Yeah.
Dad's telling me everything's going to be okay. I feel like what I'm seeing is everything is kind of like, it's almost like you're pressed up to everything right now. You can't sort of see beyond it, which I understand, but it's like, I'm feel like I need to tell you like things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so you feel that, because I'm definitely getting a clear sense that somebody took money. So you're feeling like somebody took money from your dad?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wouldn't know.
But you said there is money missing or money you can't find.
Well, my dad had told me there was an insurance policy for $100,000, and I can't find. We've looked at all different policies that he had and can't seem to find it.
No, that is true, though. I do feel that is true. And I feel like it's still in the energy around you. So it must be something that you haven't, figured out just yet. Now it's interesting because your father's shown me that he passed almost 2 years ago or a year and a half ago.
November, yeah. He passed in November of 2017.
Okay, so it's been a while, but you still haven't found this. Yeah, it looks like it is, some reason I'm seeing like a blue emblem for some reason. Like a blue seal. I want you to look for a blue seal.
Okay.
And then would there be any possibility that your father left you money in some sort of military account or a military bank or anything like that?
Navy. Yeah, he was Navy. He was retired Navy. So.
And did he keep his money in that?
Yeah, I'd have to look. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't. I know he has an account. It wasn't much money in that particular one.
Right. I want you to maybe look for a second account.
Okay.
Because I feel like there might be another account is what I'm getting. It might be that one, but there might have been like a second one or something that he used.
Right.
So, okay. And I want to say also, so he's just telling me, kind of to pay attention, but it looks like it will work out. Okay. Now the relationship thing, so you're having kind of an issue, just, it seems like this happens a lot to you.
Yeah, I don't have a good picker, obviously. I feel like I'm picking different people, but it always kind of ends up with unavailable. They're just emotionally unavailable. So it ends up, I have to.
Married?
No, I've never been married.
No, anybody with her, anybody you've ever dated married?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of these people I'm seeing that are drawn in are people that they have another relationship that they haven't completed. Either they're married or they might not be married, but it's like they have a thing they're bringing in a little bit. So,
yes,
yeah, part of it is that you are, you're yourself, you're a healer. So you want to fix everybody and help everybody and give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and you're very empathic and things. So that's kind of part of an issue. And even when we were talking about the chakras today, you may want to look at your 20s, and you may want to look at types of things that showed up around them that might be blocking you or something like that. Okay. I do see somebody coming into your life that you haven't met yet. I see this person. They're not giving me a name, but I actually see this person, what this person looks like. And I see a lot of boats around this person.
Oh, good.
And this is somebody that you're going to connect with. It's more towards the end of the year, maybe towards the fall or things like that. But I do see that. I do actually see that happening. So I think the focus is right now to really start to kind of focus energetically on yourself, the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to do. And I feel like, clearing up all this money stuff.
Okay.
I feel like, from there, things will, really kind of, I think open up and stuff, what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you. Okay, well, that was actually 2 short readings, but they were both really powerful, and it kind of feels like both of those people kind of needed a reading, so that was good. That worked out that way. We're at our stopping point, so I will be seeing you guys next time. I look forward to it. Again, you'll get the chakra homework tonight. You can work on that, and then we'll start with that next time we meet. I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.